Welcome to the No More Meds podcast with Dr. Corinne Weaver. Are you stressed out because you keep getting sick and don't know what steps to take? Are you sick of not getting answers from your doctor and always needing to take drugs? How would your life be different if you were healthy? Be inspired and stay tuned for some practical solutions for healthy living.
All right, guys, welcome so much for coming back to the No More Meds podcast. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Hayley Woodgate, and she is wise beyond her years with her experience with trauma, and she now devotes her life as a spirituality life coach and a teacher empowering others. She is amazing, and she's been featured on many things, especially about personal development called Purpose Fairy. I'm excited to hear about this. And she's also been with Spiritual Enthusiastics. So is it Savannah? Is that how you say her name? Savannah East? And she can access her on her website. All right, Hayley, tell us more about your trauma and tell us how you can help empower women today in 2020.
Wow, where do I even start? I actually feel quite emotional just you explaining that because it's been a long way to get through my journey. Like a lot of people usually look at their external factors before their internal, they go towards the business and the success, whereas I done it the other way around. It was my healing within and going through that process of facing the childhood trauma that really unveiled what I was destined to do. And I really had no idea I was going to be doing any of this. It wasn't something I dreamed of. It was just something that happened for me. And it was really the miracles that were served to me in overcoming my own obstacles that really led me to being there to pave the way for others. So I'm so passionate about this because the pain that we experience is passed down generation after generation. And for me, it's in the female lineage, right? I experienced abuse on all levels as a child. It was sexual, physical, emotional, and it was passed down. The trauma, the wounds were playing out over and over because no one was willing to face the wound within. And everything I do is to teach women to break that. Because when you are at dis-ease with yourself, you manifest dis-ease within yourself. But so many people aren't aware that a majority of it is due to some form of trauma because it traps in your nervous system. So I've been spending years in this journey, like my spiritual journey, I think began in, where will I go back to? It began around 21. So my stepfather, unfortunately, had just took his own life. And I was at a very vital point in my well-being. I literally could not keep any food down. I lost so much weight. Like people was labeling me as anorexic because they thought I genuinely had an eating disorder. But I was just completely falling apart. However, I continued to portray that mask, of hiding what was going on within. And it was at that point in my journey that things really started to unveil and things just got worse and worse for me. I ended up then staying in a relationship even though he was unfaithful to me because I wasn't true to who I am. I didn't know my worth. I had repeated that pattern and that cycle of low self-esteem due to childhood trauma. So I continued to attract that into my reality, right? So this is everything I do. Who you are, you will attract. So it's all about completely shedding all of that. And this is how my journey began. Like my cries just got louder and louder. The pain got so bad, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Like I got to the point, my nervous system just broke down, my spine, my rib cage. I was just broken and I couldn't deny it anymore. I couldn't hide it anymore. I had to listen to the cries within. And when I really did that, that is when everything just unveiled for me. Like miracles started to come in and spirituality was really unveiled to me. But I've gone through such a deep process and shedding within it. And I'm very fortunate, this is what I want to merge women into that space of more than anything, is to be grateful for what you've gone through. All the pain, all the trauma, not change any of it. And I tell you why, because I get to pave a new way. And this is what I want for women, because our children, the next generation, deserve to be free of this, because women have suffered for so long due to this patterning, this toxic dysfunction within self. And you'll continue to attract ill well-being and failed relationships. And when this really started to unveil to me, I started to realize my mission. I knew where my passion was, and I knew, finally, this isn't about me. This is about what we leave behind. We have to leave behind a legacy of well-being. Whatever that looks like to you, there's no right or wrong. But for me, it's helping women heal from trauma.
That is so awesome. I mean, the way you describe it, there's so many patients that come to see me, and a lot of them think it's a physical way. You can get physically hurt, from a car accident, bike accident, or whatever, but there's so much to that emotional trauma that can create your nervous system, like you're saying, of being broken down. A lot of people don't realize that emotional trauma can make you physically sick. So when you work with your clients and when you work with your women, and I'm sure there's from all over the world right now, where are you sitting right now?
I am in Northern Ireland. So I've moved around quite a lot, actually, but I work worldwide. Everything I do is to create a lifestyle that I desire. And this is what I want for the women I work with as well. It's not just about healing within, it's about aligning with your true reality. Because when you tap into that and you start to shed and really tap into the truth of your being, you will unveil like a new way of being. And as I said, that's when all my dreams started to unfold. And I'm currently in Northern Ireland, but this is not where I intend to stay. I want to have a lifestyle where I can work abroad, travel, I want to speak. I'm also a writer. I'm currently in the process of writing and releasing my first book. So for me, it's really important to embody that freedom that other women want. So it doesn't matter where I am in the world, I'm going to serve you, sister.
I love it. And I love how when you first met me, you're like, I love your accent. And I love your accent. And people that listen to this are going to want to know where you're from. And just a beautiful, beautiful accent. But, I love hearing your story and how you empower women. And, do you have any siblings? Are you an only child? Do you have any brothers and sisters?
No. So thankfully, I am blessed I was an only child because of my upbringing and the way what I went through. Thankfully, I am an only child. So it's just me and my precious mummy.
So it's just you two. Wow. Any animals?
I have 2 beautiful dogs. And would you believe, during my journey, I swear they were sent to me because they helped me so much through my darkest moments. They helped me so. I feel like animals are so healing, and I'm very passionate about them because they just connect. They really represent the presence of who we are. No judgment, just love. And they really inspire us when we surround ourselves with these beings. So I love my fur babies. Love them.
I know. I love animals as well. So you were drawn to me. I think you were looking to just get your word out there. And, that's the biggest thing is about getting on podcasts. And I'm just so excited that you wrote a book or writing a book right now. I just finished a book a few years ago called The No More Meds. And that is hard, being young, and you are very, very young and beautiful, and you just have so much within you to share. And so you're able just to write your words and to let other people read this and be inspired. And so that's the main reason why we have the No More Meds podcast, to let them know that you're not alone when you're doing this, when you're wanting to self-medicate. And now with the world, we feel like we need to go to the drug cabinet and get drugs for healing. But that's not where you're saying that's not where healing comes from. Can you explain how your healing process and how things change, that you're not reaching for the drug cabinet and taking more drugs?
Yeah, this is why I was really drawn to you, actually, because that was a huge part of my journey. And this is where it all fell into play, because when I was 12 or 13, I was instantly put on medication. I was diagnosed with genetic depression. They told me I'd never be happy. They told me I'd need medication my whole lifetime. It was a constant in and out and this battle with my well-being. And it got to a point then when I was at my worst in my 20s, when I was going through that really traumatic time in my life, they brought me and diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And this is everything I teach, because this is where I really unveil to you. There is nothing that cannot be done. Because when I went to that office and they said to me, that's it, you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life. Like, I was crippled. Something in me, I just felt like this is not true in my heart. Even though I really wanted that label, because I was so desperate and afraid, because I didn't know what the hell was going on within me, I was like, this is not right. And that is when everything just unveiled. Because I remember their solution at the time, they gave me this medication, and like, I was paralyzed like for like a day or two. My whole nervous system burnt the whole way through. I will never ever forget the pain that I endured, and all they basically said to me was sit it out. You know, I was numbing myself on Xanax because my muscles were so tense. You know, there was no other way for me, and I thought, this can't be it. And that is when a new way of being was suddenly unveiled to me, because I thought, I can't live like this anymore. You know, all my life I've been told, this is it for you. That's it, medication, pain, medication, pain. But something within me, and I mean the slightest spark, because I was in such a bad place, told me, this is not it, Hayley, there is more. And that is when everything started to unveil to me. And since then, I've been on a huge holistic journey. You know, I've tried everything in the book. I'm one of those guinea pigs. I'm like, I've done it all, because I realized there had to be another way. And I'm so fortunate now, because as I am young, I'm only 20 now, 28. But for me, I never thought I'd see it past 30. I genuinely thought by now I'd be on my deathbed, because that's the way I was going.
And that's a very scary feeling, I'm sure. You know, a lot of people have, and they go to the doctors because the doctors know, right? The doctors are supposed to know all the answers. And these patients come in and they've been through, 4 or 5 different doctors' opinion. They've had all the blood tests done. And I've seen just recently a patient was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but the doctor didn't even touch her and was just giving her antidepressants and really didn't know what to do. They did all these studies. Like, there's this huge pack of paper that I got through, and basically they came up with, just take your antidepressant. We don't know what to do with you. And that's just scary. And it's very, very sad. And so what do you think that spark was? Did someone speak something to you that motivated you, or feel that spark? Or do you feel like that healing is all within us that we need to empower and to find?
100%. For me, the core of everything is the healer is within, because the greatest issue we have as in society is looking outside of self. We believe that we're powerless and we're victims, because that is what we've been taught in this culture, that we don't have the power within to heal what we're going through. You know, with all these labels, whether it's fibromyalgia or cancer or whatever it is they choose to diagnose us with, we feel powerless because we've been told that we can't do anything otherwise, when this is not true. I truly believe it was, as much as the holistic and the therapy contributed, it was the healing within and tapping into and trusting that soul calling is what guided me through. It was what allowed the miracles to truly unveil. And this is a huge part of my mission actually for women, is because a lot of that destruction and that dysfunction is due to codependency. And that's just not in relationships. You know, that's in drugs, that's in addictions. There's so many things it contributes to, because people are relying on external things to fix them. But what I come back to, the truth is, you don't need fixing. You need to love yourself as you are. And when you embody that truth, I am love and I am everything I need within, that is when you start your healing.
Wow, that's amazing. I love hearing that story. And, I was raised in the Christian faith, and with, Jesus being the ultimate healer and miracles. And you look back into the Bible and you see all the miracles that he did, and people could not believe it. So even though you could see miracles happen, people still didn't believe that, and so it's like, it is just having that step of faith and believing in yourself that you can heal. And that was the one thing that Jesus preached, which was kind of interesting, because, people could have diseases and all he said is, believe that you can heal, or have faith that you can heal, and then they could heal. But it's just that belief system within us that we don't have. And so that's kind of where I'm hearing your story, is this little spark was within you. It's always been within you, but we cover it, all the words, all the negativity, all the things that come in, they cover that spark. And so somehow you're able to lift up all those layers, because God has a purpose for your life, and you can feel this purpose. And that's what I love to hear. and I love to see you rejoice in that. And I can see you speaking and motivating, and especially for women today. I have 2 daughters, and one right now, and I want to ask your advice, because one right now is actually struggling with her weight. She's super skinny, but one of her friends told her she was fat, and I'm like, totally, you're not fat, but she feels that. So how would you approach it with these young teenagers, having to look a certain way to feel like, they're accepted in this world? As much as a parent gives the child and tells her how beautiful she is, but she needs to feel it inside. How would you express that to a teenager that's struggling with their weight? Because you said with you didn't have anorexia, but people thought you did. And you hear that constantly. So what words of advice would you give a teenager that might be listening now that's struggling with accepting themselves and accepting that love within them?
It breaks my heart that what we're going through as a society for young women, and this is why I do what I do, because we're so consumed by what's in the external that we're not actually teaching them that what we need is internal. And the main and the wisest thing I would teach to any young woman, whether it's your daughter in regards to body image or whether it's bullying, because there's so many different things around this, it all comes down to the play of projecting of what's going on within. So the advice I would wholeheartedly give to her is that know that it's not something towards you, it's something within them. They are projecting their woundedness from their own reality. So rather than looking at it from a place of pain, look at it from a place with love and say that wee girl is hurting. Something is going on within her to cause her to project her wounds onto another. And the main reason I say this, because the only way we can really heal these wounds as a collective is by love. The only way is we can truly see the pain from within them and dissolve it within self. So if she can find that closure within herself to say, actually, this isn't about me, this is about her, and to sit with herself and send that being love and send herself love, she will come to such a peaceful place within. And this is what we need to be teaching young women. We need to be teaching them not just to love self, because it's a duality of coexisting. We have to respect others as much as we respect ourselves, but it's loving others as much as we love ourselves. And this is what we have the power to do.
That is so amazing. This needs to be taught in schools, and as you look at the school system and you see all the bullying, a lot of bullying happening, a lot of words, and, it's because they're young, especially middle school, I think is a tough time because you're trying to blend in, you're trying to be like everybody else. But yet you need to be unique. All of us are unique, and we're all created for a reason and a purpose. And so finding that love and having that taught in school is really, really important, and to share that. Because, with what's going on right now is there's a lot of fear in the world, not just here in the United States. You were asking me how we're doing in the United States and how we're doing in North Carolina, but there's still a great fear. And we know love can cast out all fear. And so how is where you're at? How are you surrounding yourself with love when all this fear is in the world right now with the virus?
I have to say, for me, it's been a true blessing. It's helped me really go within me on a deeper level. And this is what I would really recommend to anyone, because for me, this is a wake-up call. Like, you can either see this through a projection of this is bad, or I can actually receive something from this. How you choose to perceive your world is entirely on you. And I have chosen to personally see it as a blessing, because it's helped me not only get closure with an old life that wasn't serving me, but it's helped me step into further where I'm going and who I really am and what I want for this world. It's about stepping out of yourself, because we can get so consumed by ourselves, really, can't we? This idea of death and where am I in my life and this, that, and the other. And it's really about coming out of that and seeing the bigger picture. What is this for? Why is this happening? Because the world's been in a crisis, if you ask me, for a very long time. It's not just this experience, only this experience has woke people up to it. So I'm really using this opportunity to just focus on love, surrounding myself in love, surrounding myself within in love. I'm really empowering people to be better, to choose how do you want to move forward from this, because things are never going to be the same, but you can either resist that or accept it and thinking, actually, things can be greater. if we choose them to be, the world can be greater. And I truly believe this is our opportunity to do that.
And the world is more coming together, I would say, Hayley. It's probably brought us together, with all of this that's going on. And there's something I will never forget. My mom, she was diagnosed with this was years ago, she was diagnosed with stage 5 glioblastoma brain cancer, and she was only given 3 months to live. And she said, and I'll never forget this, kind of like what you just said, she said it was a blessing. And I'm looking at her like, you just got diagnosed with stage 5 glioblastoma brain cancer. You got 3 months to live. How can you say this was a blessing? But she said it was a blessing because it brought all of our family together, and we had the most wonderful time with her as she was passing. And so, just like you were saying, you can be diagnosed with something and you can truly, look at the negative, or you can look at the positive. I totally believe that. I love how you just said that this is a blessing, because a lot of people are going to listen to you like, you are crazy. How is this a blessing? But it's what you make out of it, right? It's what you are able to do with the connections that you have. And you have to stay positive, because if you're negative in this world, it's just not fun at all, and it's just a horrible place to be. And you created it. And a lot of people they create the negativity. Do you see that people create their own negativity?
Mm-hmm. I choose not to separate positivity and negativity, because I believe there just is. Love is wholeness, right? So if you're in a negative space, that's okay, because we can be affected by this reality. But by accepting that and seeing it and really allowing it, that is when you can move into a new space. Because if you're in a negative space and you have been affected by it, it's okay, because resisting it's going to make it worse. You're going to cause that fight or flight within yourself. So the best thing you can do for yourself to shift that way of being is, okay, this is how I feel right now, because we have to let this stuff up, right? And this is what we really forget about in humanity. We're going to experience all sorts of things, but we separate them between good and bad. And this is what causes dysfunction, because we believe things have to be a certain way. But when you can just find peace within yourself, everything just is, and whatever I'm feeling is perfectly okay. That is the blessing and the gift.
Oh, I love how you put that together. That's so wonderful. Where can people find more information about you and work with you? And I know you travel all over the world. What's the best place for people to go to learn more about your story and how you can bring light and healing to them?
I have several different platforms, but everything is run through my main platform, which is my website, www.hayleywoodgate.co.uk, in which everything is shared on there, my retreats, my programs, my upcoming book, and on that you can also find my social medias, which are merely Hayley Woodgate at Facebook and Instagram.
Well, we'll definitely be sharing this out so more people can hear about this and learn more about how to heal from within. When is your book going to be available, Hayley?
In a few months.
In a few months. What's the name of your book?
The Truth of Trauma.
Oh, wow. That's a great book. I love the title too. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today. I hope you have a very blessed day.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me and for allowing my voice to be heard. I truly appreciate that. And I'm just sending love and light to everybody who is listening to this. And I hope you're all well and safe during this time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the No More Meds podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share your favorite episodes with your family and friends, or at least leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. The content and opinions expressed are those of the host and presenters. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Product statements have not been evaluated by the FDA.